All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Washington Apple Education Foundation's first ever scholarship webinar series. My name is Erica, and this scholarship season, we will be hosting a three-part series focusing on scholarships, how to apply, and answering hopefully all of the questions that you might have. This first session is going to be a general overview to get you familiar with scholarships. And if you're already familiar with scholarships, hopefully it'll be a nice refresher for you. I want to encourage you all to ask questions in the chat box as they come up. We will save some time at the end to answer the questions. And we just want to make sure that we have enough time to go through everything. With that being said, let's get started. Okay, so here is a list of everything that we're going to cover today. It looks like a lot, but I promise it will go really fast. So I encourage you to take notes as we go, but we will be recording the session and posting it to our scholarship resources page when we are done today. So some things we're going to cover today are going to be who we are, who the foundation is, what the tree fruit industry is. We'll talk a little bit about our students, what scholarships are, our scholarships, where to look for scholarships, how to pay for college, and we'll go over scholarship eligibility before we wrap it up. So the Washington Apple Education Foundation is the charity of Washington State tree fruit industry. Our mission is to impact lives through access to educational opportunities. And some of you are probably wondering what a tree fruit is. And a tree fruit is essentially a fruit that grows on a tree. But for us specifically, it includes the apples, the cherries, and the pears. This year, we awarded over $1 million in scholarships, and it was to 317 students, and some were existing students and some were renewing students who renewed their scholarships. We are a small staff of 4, and 2 of us were actually WAIF recipients. So joining us today, we have Jennifer Witherby, who is our executive director. We have Soshi Velasquez, who's our assistant director, and myself. So a little bit of background on myself. I was actually a WAIF recipient, and I actually applied to the scholarship when my dad, who worked at this large aluminum company called Alcoa here in town, shut down. A lot of people were laid off. My dad was one of them. Actually, all the people were laid off. My dad was one of them, and I was about to start college. I was kind of scrambling because I didn't know how to pay for college. I didn't qualify for the financial aid and stuff. I hadn't applied for scholarships. And so my mom at the time worked at a fruit warehouse, and that's how I qualified for the WAIF scholarship. I applied, and I was able to get my associate's degree and transfer to Central. And I graduated just last year when I joined, and then I joined the WAIF team, excuse me. So yeah, so now I'll let Soshi share a little bit about her experience as well with WAIF.
Hi, everyone. Like Erica said, I'm Soshi, and I'm also a WAIF alumni. So I actually received a WAIF scholarship from 2009 through 2012 while I was studying at Gonzaga University. I'm the first one in my family to go to college, so I didn't really know much about financial aid or paying for college. But through my counseling office, I was made aware of scholarships. And my dad worked for a company that sells apples, cherries, and other tree fruits. So he brought the application to me, and that's how I applied for the scholarship through Washington Apple Education Foundation. So similar to Erica, my mom worked at a packing warehouse, so that was another way that I qualified for a scholarship through WAIF.
Thank you, Soshi. So just a little bit more background on our students. This year we had a total of 317 students. Of those, 80% were first generation college students, and the remaining 20% were not first gen students. Our students study a wide variety of degrees, but on here you can see the top 10 majors that our students pursue. So these degrees vary from business to engineering, communications, ag-related, social work, public health, and so many others. So it's a wide variety of degrees. Another common question that we receive is, where do our students study? Our students study all over the country. Many do choose to stay in Washington State because of cost and affordability, and it's the distance from home is closer. But we also have students in Oregon, Washington, California, Texas, all the way in Maine, in Iowa. We have a student studying abroad in British Columbia in Canada this year, and one in Hawaii. So another common question that we receive from students is, what are tree fruit industry careers? And there's a common misconception that tree fruit related careers only involve the act of picking the fruit, sorting the fruit, and packing the fruit. But there are so many other sectors and departments that make up the tree fruit industry, such as accounting, electrical, so the people who put together or fix the machines, or all of those things. We also have people in food safety, food inspections, HR, IT, marketing, selling the fruit, so sales, business, all of those things make up the tree fruit industry, not just the labor intensive parts that people think the tree fruit industry is. So now, what is a scholarship? So I would like you all to take a second to type your response in the chat box on what you think a scholarship is before we continue. So this will be probably like 30 seconds. Sorry. Money. Thank you, Jennifer. Free money for college. Right on. Well, thank you. So yeah, scholarships are free money, something that helps pay for college. Thank you, Kaden. Yeah. So scholarships are free money that you get for education. Yeah, it's free money you don't have to pay back. Scholarships are awarded on different criteria. So it can be based on grades, on character, on community involvement, all sorts of things. And each year, students in Washington State receive in excess of $50 million in scholarships. So that's quite a bit. There's a lot of money there for scholarships. So be sure you're doing your research and applying for them. Okay, so now what about loans or student loans? And use the chat box to share as well. Debt, borrowed money, money you have to pay back. You have to pay back the money you borrow. Yeah, these are all really great responses. So yeah, loans are borrowed money. It's money that you have to pay back. So I'm really glad Saoirse is here because she actually has a banking background and she can talk a little bit more on loans.
Yeah, so all of those were right on. Great question, great responses. It is borrowed money. Some of the things that you have to consider when borrowing is you're not only paying back the money you borrowed, but you also pay back an interest, so you're actually paying back more than what you borrowed. So if you can apply for scholarships, it is free money that you don't have to pay back, rather than paying off a loan and then any interest that you owe on that. Other things that may affect you in the future is if you don't repay a loan how it's supposed to, that does affect your credit, and it could potentially affect your ability to purchase a home or cars like that. So again, staying away from the debt, if you can, it's a great way to go.
Thank you, Saoirse. So now we'll talk about our scholarships. So WAVE offers over 100 scholarships, and they're all placed within these 2 scholarship applications that we provide to students. We have the Universal Scholarship Application and the Vocational Scholarship Application. So first, I'll talk about the Universal Scholarship Application. This application is for students who were raised in the tree fruit industry, meaning that their parents currently work in the tree fruit industry, in the warehouses, in the fields, in the offices, anything like that. Or for students who want to pursue a degree within the tree fruit industry. So any of those things we talked about earlier, or horticulture is another really big one, or plant science, anything like that. If you want to study those things or your parents work in the tree fruit industry, you would qualify for this application, or this scholarship, excuse me. And when when you are awarded with the scholarship from the universal application, you can use it at any 2 or 4 year college or university in or out of the state, public or private. Many of our students, like I said earlier, like to stay in Washington State, but they are all over the country. Our next application is the vocational or technical scholarship application. And this application is for students who like to work with their hands and want to follow a less traditional path on a degree. On this application on our website, there is a list of all of the degrees that qualify and fall under this. So it could be anything from welding, electricians, HVAC, auto mechanics, all of those degrees fall under this category. And these careers actually have really high turnaround rates. So there is a high need for these. So if that's something that you're interested in, you would apply for this one. This scholarship can be used at a nonprofit, technical, or vocational college or institution. And both of our scholarship applications are now open as of September 15th and will close on March 1st, 2020. So you still have, if you qualify, you still have plenty of time to start it and complete it and get all of your materials done on time. So where can you find our scholarships? There are 2 ways to find our scholarships, and the first is by visiting our homepage at www.waif.org and mousing over to that scholarships tab. In the drop down, you will select the Get a Scholarship option, and it will take you to that page here on the right. And another way to get to this page on the right is by visiting www.waif.org/scholarships. On this page, you will find information on who qualifies for our scholarships. There will be a list of descriptions and awards for all of the scholarships that we offer, which are like over 100, and information on our universal and vocational scholarship applications. On here, underlined in red, you can see where you can actually click on the link to take you to the actual application. And just recently, we launched a scholarship resources page, which we will talk a little bit more about later. And that will also be in there. Okay. So on here are the different types of aid. I'm not sure I understand. Oops, sorry. At the top, we have scholarships, which we have talked about, the FAFSA, WAFSA, and grants, loans, which we also talked about, personal, family, savings, and work. Scholarships, right now is a really great time to start researching and applying for scholarships because most have already opened or will be opening soon. The FAFSA and WAFSA and grants. Both of those applications already opened on October 1st. So if you haven't already, I strongly encourage you to apply because they are on a first come, first served basis. Loans, like Saoirse talked about, usually they're borrowed money, but usually you determine whether or not you will take out student loans after you receive your award letter. It'll be whatever is not typically covered by scholarships and your financial aid and grants. And personal, family, savings, and work. If you are saving and you're working during the school year to pay for college, or you're working over the summer to save to pay for college, you can put all of that money towards your college expenses. If your parents have a college savings plan for you, or they're going to just help you with what they can, all of these things are really great things that can help you pay for college, and some scholarships will ask you for a college funding plan. So these are all great things to incorporate and keep in mind when you're filling those applications out. So now we'll talk a little bit more about qualifying. There is a really common misconception that students have to have straight A's or be all-star athletes in order to qualify for scholarships, and that's actually false. You can qualify for scholarships without being an athlete or having a 4.0 GPA, although those things do help sometimes. Another common myth is that if you pay to apply for scholarship or scholarships or access scholarship applications, or receive scholarship money, it is very likely a scam. Scholarships are free money, and you shouldn't have to pay to receive the free money. And the last common myth that we like to share with students is that if your income is too high or your parents' income is too high, you won't qualify for scholarships. And while that might be true for financial aid or the state aid, it is not true for scholarships. And there are scholarships that are need-based, but not all scholarships. So you would still qualify for some scholarship. So on here are just some of the questions we like students to ask themselves when they start to look for scholarships. There will be scholarships specific to students based on where they live, what city or county, what high school they graduated from or will graduate from. There will be scholarships specific to the college or university or technical school you will attend. If you are claimed as a dependent, you will qualify for scholarships through your parents' employers. I know my dad works for waste management, and there are a ton of scholarships offered through his work. In the tree fruit industry, if your parents work at a clinic or a hospital, all of those places are really great places to start looking for scholarships. And then same goes for you in your workplace and environment. So your employer might offer scholarships for you or for their employees. I know McDonald's has, they had this big campaign on how they offer scholarships for their employees. Subway does too. And there are other large corporations like probably Walmart and Costco who offer scholarships to their employees. So ask your employer, ask your parents to ask their employers. Those are all really great places to start. Oh, sorry, I missed one. So the clubs and associations that you or your parents are a part of. So I know this year it might be kind of tricky because of COVID and not being able to participate in clubs or sports or anything like that. But if you were involved in FBLA or you're still an active member of the FFA, all of those things offer scholarships, and you can ask your club advisors or your coaches if they offer scholarships, or if your parents are members of associations. Okay. So now where can you find scholarship information? Your counselor or advisor is the best place to start searching, because as scholarship providers, we send all of our information directly to them. The next best place, like we mentioned, was online sources, but we remind students to be careful that you shouldn't have to pay for the free money. A really great resource is the washboard.org. You create an account and you fill in your information, answer some questions, and they'll match you to all of the scholarships that you qualify for. So that's a really great place to start if you haven't. The college or university that you plan to attend will offer scholarships because you're going there. So if you visit their financial aid website, or sometimes they have their own personal scholarship webpage. So if you type in, let's say, wsu.edu/scholarships or cwu.edu/scholarships, your school name /scholarships, it should pop up a page if it doesn't go to their financial aid page, and they will have a general scholarship application that you can fill out, and they'll match you to all of their institution scholarships. And on their scholarship page, most of them also have a search engine with awards, descriptions, award amounts, and then they'll also have a category where they list how many or what kind of students can apply for what scholarships. So it can be based on major, so for nursing students specifically, or psychology students only, or things like that. So keep an eye out for those. And finally, like I mentioned, your employer or your parents' employer is a really great place to start looking for scholarships. So here is a small sample of scholarship providers in Central Washington. There's WAIF at the top, and we are the charity of the tree fruit industry. And I've already shown you where you can access our scholarships and briefly describe them. There's also the Community Foundation of North Central Washington, and this provider has a similar system per se as the washboard.org, where you create an account, you take a short quiz and answer some questions, and it'll show you what scholarships you're eligible for in your area based on the questions that you answered. There's also the Seymour Foundation, which is for students who work or have worked, or their parents who work or have worked as farm workers. I believe this scholarship is based on financial need, and all students, high school, who are graduating high school or in college already are eligible to apply. And the last one is the Molly Davis Scholarship Foundation, or the Molly Davis Scholarship that is administered by the Yakima Rotary Trust. This scholarship is specific to students who are U.S. citizens from Yakima County. So if you are from that area, you might be familiar with it already. And it's for students who are high school seniors or already college students who want to pursue an AA or a bachelor's degree. So just before we wrap it up, WAIF recently launched a scholarship resources page for students, and it's free. It contains a lot of really great information and resources and tips about what we talked about today and what we will be talking about in the coming months. There's also advice from a couple of selection committee members and what they look for when they review the scholarship applications, along with tips based on the scholarship applications and what we've seen in the past. Many applications ask students similar questions, and so on that training site, you will see and get guidance on how to answer some specific questions. I also encourage you to create a free account. It's free, so why not? And WAIF will also be sending a quick under 1 minute tip for students to the counselors and advisors each month with tips based on where students should be in the scholarship process. So this month's tip was on asking questions, because scholarship applications are starting to open or will be opening soon. And we just want to get you in the habit of asking questions, asking your counselor for guidance, asking the providers if you have questions, just asking questions. It's always great to ask questions. Okay, so here is what we will cover in December. We'll talk about disqualification, and we'll start going over the first few sections on how to fill out the scholarship application. So we'll talk about the basics. We'll talk about the academics portion of a scholarship application and financial sections and what scholarship providers look for when they ask these questions and how to fill them out. And then we have reached the end of the presentation really quickly, it looks like. So we can go ahead and answer any questions you guys might have. On here is also our email and our phone number if you have questions, or maybe you're too shy to ask right now, but you can definitely call and email us afterwards, and we would be happy to help. If you start an application and you have questions, please reach out to the provider that you're applying for, preferably. But yeah, do you guys have any questions?
And Erica, before we get some questions, if we could have the students let us know where they're from. So maybe let us know what city or town you're from and your high school. And I actually had one question, Erica. So in a few slides back, you said that some scholarships require you to be a U.S. citizen or ask about your status in the country. Is that a requirement for WAIF?
No, so we don't ask for students proof of citizenship or anything like that. We also ask that you don't share that information with us, only answer the questions that are being asked. Remember to follow the instructions. If there are scholarship specific, or there's scholarships that don't have listed whether or not you have to be a U.S. citizen or not, be sure to reach out to the provider. We are very happy to answer any questions you might have. Oh, awesome. We have a lot of Highland students. Chelan, Connell, Quincy, Kiona Benton.
So can I ask another question? What's the average size of a scholarship?
So all of our scholarships vary in size, but the average award amount is $2,500. So just think of it. You spend an hour or two filling out a scholarship application and you're awarded with even $1,000. That's a really great deal. That's better than a job sometimes. So definitely, yeah, I encourage you all to apply for the scholarships with parents who work in the ag go. Let's see. Oh, are scholarships based on income? So no. We do ask annual income of your family, but it's not a prime consideration for some of our scholarships. There are scholarships that are based on financial need, but not some of ours.
But most are, right, Erica? So for WAVE scholarships, one of our primary considerations is financial need, and we do look. I think I'm reading some of the questions too. I think maybe what is being asked is, the parents' employment needs to be in the tree fruit industry. So when you fill out that financial section of the application, students will include where their parents work, and that's how we're able to qualify students.
Thank you.
Maybe that helps.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, can you go over this slide about how you qualify?
Yes, so let me, is it this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what our website looks like, or our scholarships page. Our students who qualify for scholarships have direct ties to the Washington tree fruit industry. So if your parents work in the tree fruit industry, you would qualify, or if you want to pursue a degree within the tree fruit industry, you would also qualify for the universal scholarship application. For the vocational or technical it's for students who want to pursue a vocational or technical degree. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, so if we don't have any more questions, I really encourage you guys to ask questions. If you come across a question that you wanted to ask, or you forgot right now, or something comes up later, our contact information, like I said, is here. Me and Cersei are here to help and answer any questions, help you along the scholarship process. So thank you everyone for watching.
We have one more question that just came in through chat.
Oh,
so it is, what if you don't want a career in tree fruit? Can you still apply?
You can still apply if your parents work in the tree fruit industry. So like I said, it could be in the warehouses, in the fields, in the offices, selling the fruit. All of those things would make you eligible for that. Or how long do parents need to be working in the tree fruit industry? So most of our scholarships have to be year-round employment. In the tree fruit industry, there are case-by-case cases where students' parents only work temporary or seasonal because they work in the fields and they can't work over the winter, but it's still considered full-time because that is their only source of income. So if you still have questions about that, please reach out to us. We would be happy to go off of your case. Can we still qualify if parents didn't work in the tree fruit industry but work in other types of agricultural work? Okay. What do you, if you don't mind me asking, like what other type of agricultural work do you mean?
And while we wait for either that or another response, if you the question that was just asked previously, how long do your parents need to work? You can always give us a call and kind of explain the situation a little bit further too. And like that, we can answer it too. So feel free to reach out to us.
Do you want to get that one, Sochi? So my parents don't work in the tree fruit industry, but I am pursuing a degree in business administration. Would I qualify?
So if there is no tie to the tree fruit industry, you would have to want to go into the industry. A lot of the careers that Erica was mentioning that, you know, we typically don't think about could use a business admin degree. So like for the marketing, for the sales, things like that. So if you want to pursue business administration and want to work for a tree fruit company, then you would qualify.
But just be sure to share that in your application and make that very clear. Otherwise, we're just going to guess that you just want a general business admin degree. So just to kind of touch on that question from earlier, we offer scholarships to students whose parents work in the ag sector, but there are also like providers, so the people who make the bins or the boxes or the containers where the apples go. If your parents work in those industries, those would all still be tree fruit industry related careers, which would qualify you.
And a lot of the counselors have an idea of what the qualifications are for these scholarships. So if you don't have the contact information for maybe one of the scholarships you're looking into, reach out to your counselor. They're likely have a history with the organization or know a little bit more about it, or they could even get you that contact information. So that's another great starting point when you have questions.
If our parents work in the grapes, would that qualify for scholarships? For us specifically, it would not, because it has to be the apples, the cherries, or the pears. But there are so many other scholarships for like the wine grapes. There are scholarships for the hops if you're in that area that you would definitely qualify for. So I encourage you to talk to your high school counselor. I'm sure they have a long list of all of the scholarships that you would be eligible for.
And one comment I just wanted to add is apply to scholarships. So again, reach out to your counselors or read for the qualifications. You can receive more than one scholarship. So for me personally, I was able to fund my college education through scholarships. So it was all paid off through scholarships. So by the time I graduated, I didn't have any debt or anything like that. So that gave me more opportunities. One thing that I decided to do is continue my education and pursue a master's degree. And I was only able to do that because I didn't have debt from my undergraduate studies. In other words, my bachelor's degree. So I encourage you to apply to as many as you can. Again, your high school counselor will know some very specific to your area. So a lot of times you have a greater chance at qualifying for those versus some of the more national ones. So if you can start local, I think that's a great starting point.
And I just saw your follow-up question, Osiris, I think I'm saying that right. If they work in the grapes some months and then they work picking apples and cherries, I would say that they do qualify, but shoot me an email and I would love to talk to you and figure out whether or not you qualify so we can get you started. Also, once you start going or filling out applications, call the provider and ask them if they've received your transcript or your letters of reference or anything like that. Ask questions. Okay. So we will wrap it up nice and early for you guys to go have dinner. And thank you all for joining in today. We hope to see you in the December one with more information and bring your questions. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.